Hey, I'm Francois Sterin, Chief Industrial Officer at OVH. So what we're doing with liquid cooling is we basically use it for all our servers we have in production. So OVH has a worldwide data center platform of 28 data centers on 12 sites, and we have like 356,000 servers, and almost all of them are using liquid cooling to cool mostly the processors. And we've been using that technology for 15 years actually. Not everybody knows this, but we've been in that game for a long time. And it's not rocket science, right? Liquid cooling. Some computers were liquid cooled in the 60s. It's not, but the way we've actually started industrializing this technology, it's pretty unique, I think, because we made a crazy bet in 2003. Actually, the Polish founders of the company did that. They thought it was crazy to put water on the CPU, but we tried it and it worked, and we gained a lot of operational experience for 15 years doing that. When you see all the people using that technology now, they're just starting. We've been in that game for 15 years, and what I like is when you look at the curve of heat rejection of the new processor from Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, they're like 200 or 300 watt per processor per unit, and you put like 3 or 4 of them in a server, so you have more than a kilowatt per use. So you have like racks that are 40 kilowatts. We know how to deal with that because we've been doing that for quite some time already, and it's going up. When you see the curve, it's going exponentially. So we are ready to, follow this kind of exponential growth of the heat rejection in the servers, and so we're very confident about that. And you see, everybody is like looking at that now, and we've been really great at industrializing this. It's not just about innovation. We have a process internally where we test things, then we go to industrialization. We want prototypes, then pre-production, mass production. We assemble our own servers. Not everybody knows this, but actually OVH has always assembled its own servers. We don't design chip yet, or maybe one day, but the reality is we've actually produced more than 1 million servers since the creation of OVH in 1999. So it's great to be part of the millionaire club, as I always say. It's not that many companies that have done that, and so we're very proud of that. And because we have the full integration of the supply chain, I like always to say from bare sheet metal to a connected servers, we master this. It's mostly done in-house with our own factories. We do a lot of the configuration of the servers in the factory, and then we roll them in the data center. Could be connected in a few hours actually. To generate revenue and service in very short time. It's basically you have a water block, what we call water block, or a block on the CPU or GPU, with we use mostly water, actually almost exclusively. We have sometimes some issues with the quality of the water, so we have to deal with it with softeners. Sometimes some life in the water when it gets warm, and we know how to deal with that with like. Killing those bacteria sometimes, so we know how to do that, and then comes back to a service module that is also connected to a dry cooler outside. We use mostly dry cooling technology, which actually requires very little water compared to wet cooling towers or wet cooling, evaporative cooling based on a lot of makeup water. We use just dry coolers, and what is interesting is we're able to run very high temperature on the servers as well. So we're comfortable with that. We believe in openness, and that's one of our values. And so we just joined actually the Open Compute project, who has they have a working group on advanced cooling system. So we're part of that working group. The idea is also to standardize operating condition and to standardize stuff around liquid cooling, because it's becoming mainstream now, and we have a lot of best practice to share. Obviously, there's part of it that we keep proprietary, right? That it's always it's very competitive, but we started to share some of our findings and our personal experience with other partners on that. We are in discussion with a lot of people, including we see here there is immersion cooling as well. There are a lot of people that think about how to design the blocks, and so while we've done most of things internally, we're also discussing with some partners potentially. At the end of the day, efficiency, quality, supply chain also is important because some of those new technology, they don't necessarily have the industrialization done yet. Ability to go very high in like cool, for instance, 400 watts, 500 watts for CPU or GPU is going to be important for when you see the curve of heat rejection of the suppliers, it's going this way. First of all, OVH is a service provider, a cloud service provider, not necessarily a hardware vendor. So it could be a byproduct, but that was not necessarily the goal of that. Yeah. Eventually, what's important for us is to collectively improve with others as well. So we don't have a business case to sell this at the moment, right? But obviously, clearly, we want to improve and continue to be able to follow the type of requirement we'll have in terms of liquid cooling. We got a lot of interest, and also I did have a few follow-up meetings from the presentation. Mm-hmm. People are interested to work with us on how to go further on liquid cooling. Mm-hmm. So definitely yes. I think what we want also to show is that OVH is a kind of a technology company that is basically playing with all the big guys. Because when you look at liquid cooling, I mean we could be the little European player that they're going to get crushed by the larger players. Well, actually on this, I used to be part of Google, for instance, and my former colleagues are quite, we have peer-to-peer kind of discussion, and that's great actually. That shows that it's not only a couple of big guys that will kind of do everything, and there is an alternative, and we want to be that alternative that could play with that in this arena. Sorry. Yeah. Openness is one of our key values, clearly. We have also launched an open cloud foundation. It's called Open Cloud Foundation last year, bringing a lot of European players that think the same way about cloud and all the principle that should govern the cloud as well. It's working well. And for instance, we like one of our values is also being reversible and transparent. So that's why it's good to be here, because that's a good forum to share as well with other people. I like DCD a lot because it brings most of the industry expert in one place, very efficient. And also, it's always where it's not just a fair show, it's also a technology kind of innovation and arena where you discuss what's next. And you could see in the agenda, you guys are doing a great job in putting together like forward-thinking subject, not just like being like a big fair show. That's not the idea, right? Yeah, I think DCD is definitely a place to come and exchange ideas. For us, it was the first time we presented this to the data center community. And after the meeting, I had a couple of follow-up meetings with people interested, showed me some of the way they're doing also their liquid cooling or the on-chip cooling. And there's already follow-up meetings where we'll have more discussion on this. So for me, it was a great forum for that.